Hi guys, Jaynay here, and today we are going to be talking about 13 Reasons Why. This isn't a review, this is just a vlog about my thoughts and the TV show, so stay tuned if you want to hear more. Okay, so let's jump into the vlog. So 13 Reasons Why, if you do not know what that is, it is a Netflix series that has 2 seasons, and the first season I'm going to jump in and start with the first season. So the first season, I thought that the show was really good. I enjoyed how they talked about all of the things teenagers deal with, the pervasive bullying and navigating friendships, being the new person to the school, being different. And one thing that they did do that I thought was really amazing is they highlighted how a group of kids can be different and be together, but they still want that sense of togetherness and that sense of like being in the in crowd, right? So you even see that in the first season, how Hannah and Jessica and Alex are like these outcasts, if you will, but then they begin to kind of transition into being popular, and then that kind of left Hannah on the outskirts. So when the first season ended, I felt sad. I felt very sad because there were lots of cries for help. There weren't any real conversations, which happens in schools, maybe not as much today, but even when I was growing up, people didn't talk about mental health. So it wasn't far-fetched for me to see or to not see the school talk about mental health and understanding what that was. Part of what I want any adult to get from watching that show is we have to listen to our youth. We need to be 100% tuned into them and listening, right? Adults can be so dismissive to a teenager's needs, and sometimes that dismissal results in suicide. So that's how I felt. I felt very disappointed in the adults in the show. I felt very sad that the guidance counselor really didn't know what to do or how to handle the situation or whether or not to intervene more or leave it as it was. I felt sorry that Hannah also really didn't feel comfortable enough to talk to other people around her and let her know what was going on and actually act out on her desire to, or not her desire, but act on her feelings of sadness to say to other people, hey, I need some extra help. Like, that also made me super sad. But suicide in our community is rising, guys. Suicide in the teenage world is rising. Depression is rising. I've had teenagers tell me, like, it's just a depressive culture. And I was just stumped because that's seeming to be accurate. So I'm going to jump into my thoughts on season 2 of 13 Reasons Why, because I had a lot of them, but I'll just start like here. So I think I want to say that suicide may not always be prevented, and as a clinician, I think that this point is really important to highlight because many people will think that they can prevent every case, and that's not true. You have to, one, see the signs in order to intervene correctly. You have to also be patient when you do see those signs and kind of work with the person as they're going through their own, going through their journey and on their pace. But it's not always preventable, because there are times where people are feeling suicidal and they do not say anything. So in that case, you would have no control over that. And even then, there may be some signs similar to Hannah. I felt like there were signs, and she did say something towards the end. She didn't say suicide, or did she say? I think she said kill myself, which obviously is a suicide cry. But again, sometimes when we're working with teenagers and they use certain lingo, we don't think that it's serious, and we think that they're being funny. And yes, they may be dramatic. I'm dramatic, so I understand. But you still need to check in and say, oh, kill yourself is a strong word. You want to talk a little bit more about that? even when I work with teens and they say that they hate something, I kind of ask, like, oh, I'm like, hate is a really strong word. Like, is that the word that, you really want to use in this moment? And it's not that I'm trying to change them, but it is me trying to field the thought process behind the word that they're using to describe said situation. So suicide may not always be prevented, but you definitely want to take some steps in the event you come across someone that says that they want to commit suicide. You can call the National Suicide Hotline. You can go to your local crisis center. Even emergency departments can triage psychiatric crises. So just, know the resources in your area so that you can get the help quickly. And you don't have to do a lot of legwork, or spend a lot of time trying to figure out what to do in the event of a crisis, because you are already going to know. So I guess I'll just move in a little bit more. One of the biggest questions that I felt kept coming up was who was at fault, right? Clay was on a mission. He was full of revenge, and I didn't know how to feel about that, because I didn't feel that Clay needed to take on the brunt of that. I didn't feel that Clay needed to carry the weight of Hannah's suicide and Hannah's death. I feel like I can't recall 100% correctly, but I feel like Hannah did place that on him that he didn't notice, and I think I want to highlight here that wasn't fair. I think in that instance, Hannah didn't have the language to share with Clay how she actually felt, and so she felt how she felt, which is totally fine. I just wish there was somewhere along the line someone else kind of intervened with Clay, although he was kind of being vigilante and secretive, to let him know it wasn't his fault. I think we kind of got around to this roundabout end where he still kind of took on the smarter role, but he was kind of like realizing, like, okay, I need to calm down. But I really, really, really just wanted someone to say that, because I think what I saw is Clay beginning to spiral because of him trying to piece together the story for Hannah. So I think with that, there was so much lying. Clay was lying so much. It was just lying, right? Clay was lying. All of the teens were lying. And so lying is a thing. Lying is a thing for a number of reasons. Lying can be a thing because teenagers are afraid they're going to get in trouble. Like they said in the show, they may be afraid for themselves, or they're trying to protect the people that they love. So lying was a really big theme. And I think what it showed was that the more you told a lie, the more it just kind of kept getting buried underneath, and it just continued to snowball. And so lying is like never a good thing for a lot of the reasons that we saw in the series, with people lying about their sexuality and all of these different things. And then when the other thing I saw, or I felt from that, was, wow, what kind of world are we creating as the adults where teenagers can't be themselves? Because that's what I got from that. And I don't know if anyone else picked up on that, but I just kind of felt like these kids are like bullying and doing all of these other things because like they're like trying to hide up their own lives because they don't think that they're going to be accepted. And I just kept saying to myself, are we not creating a world where teenagers can feel comfortable being themselves? Hence, they're in a constant state of worry, or in a constant state of anxiety, and it gets misplaced, and then it can become anything else. So I just kind of kept having that thought in my head as I watched this season. So let's see what else. Yes, I said Clay was already becoming kind of like a vigilante. Sexuality issues are big, and I don't think we talk about sex enough when it comes to teenagers and how it's natural. But also what it means to explore your sexuality, and if it defines you, if it doesn't define you. And so many people do define us by sexuality. And so sexuality was a big thing, and kissing and spinning it, like all of those things were like real, and they were like big deals, and everybody was kind of using it as a way to feel comforted. And so I think we have to be mindful of our messaging around sexuality. I'm not sitting up here judging. What I am saying is we have to be more open to hearing how teenagers experience sexuality, because it's their life. And I think so much that we are like, no, you're not supposed to do it that way. It's their life. We have to let them figure out what we can provide. Some parameters, sure, but for me, I don't know that it's okay to tell a teenager that they can't express themselves or be who they are as long as they're not harming someone, because that can be internalized in a lot of ways that we saw in this series. So, secrets are the key to survival. When they said that, I just was kind of like, I didn't agree. Probably, obviously, by my face. But I just kind of sat with that and thought, like, yeah. I mean, I guess to some extent, having secrets can be protective. But I don't think that they're the key to survival. I actually think that they kill us. Because if we're keeping secrets, people don't know, we're faking it, we're trying to hold it in, we're trying to hide things. I think that eats away at us way more than just telling the truth. And I could be wrong, and you can have your own thoughts, but these are mine. Yeah, Hannah and Clay being vengeful for me was just really toxic. I also wanted to kind of highlight this idea of like parents not just being honest about who their kids are. I think that was another theme. There was this kind of theme, especially with the one character, Bryce, where mom was believing that he was one way, but then dad wasn't. And just watching everybody kind of have this like bystander effect of no one's going to say anything because this is my livelihood. And it's like all of that is so real. There are some kids who have a lot of material things and money. And then there are kids that do not have a lot of those things, but they have a gift. They have a talent. And so what you saw in the end of it was like this one kid who had everything, this one kid who didn't, and this one kid who didn't. It's like, I'm not going to survive without this team making it big. And so he did whatever he could to protect the team and the person that was terrorizing everything, because for him, survival mode was kicking in. He needed to survive. And so I think one thing 13 Reasons Why did was it highlighted how youth who may come from different socioeconomic classes and backgrounds have different vantage points into maybe the very same situation, and they have different realities, and they have different set of coping skills, and they have different like things at stake, and so their responses to certain things are going to be completely different. And it was heartbreaking, right? When I kept getting to the end and we're like nearing up, and then the justice system is doing what the justice system can do and not provide justice. It was just really, really daunting. And, yes, the show moved a little slow at times, but I think overall, I'm pleased that the show is out, because I think it gives teenagers an opportunity to communicate. I think it gives adults an opportunity to communicate. And before I go, I literally just want to highlight what you can do as an adult, especially if you're in a school setting or if you're a parent and you're dealing with this, because I know it's tough, and I know that you will go up to schools gum blazing, like, what are y'all doing to my baby? And I think one of the main things you can do is just ask schools if they need support. Because a lot of schools do need support. Even when you went into that bathroom, administrators are probably not going in that bathroom, or maybe they need donations for paint to paint over it. I mean, there are other tangible ways to provide support to your youth school, so that, as a community, we can come together and combat some of these very pervasive bullying incidents. And I'm excited, as a clinician, to be in the space that I'm in and to have the opportunity to work in schools to help them bridge the gap between education and mental health and trauma and bullying and all of these different things, because these are conversations that youth are not having. These are feelings that youth do not know what to do with. And so I also encourage you to call your school and ask them, how many therapists do you have? How many counselors do you have? Do you have somebody else coming in teaching our kids about emotional health? Because these are conversations that they have to have, and they have to have them amongst each other. One of the other things that I do, even when I work with a group of kids, is if I see some kids being a little mean to the other, I say something to them right then and there so that they understand this isn't acceptable. There are other ways that maybe you can get this message across, but being mean like that or saying it like that isn't going to be the way to get your feelings out and across, and that it can be crossing a line. So it is important to be present as the adult and help your teen and your preteen navigate the experiences that they're going through. So guys, that is all that I wanted to drop in and say about 13 Reasons Why Season 2. I think as a parent, if you're watching this and you watched it with your teen or you want to have some questions, I think I'll post some follow-up questions. I'll post some questions for parents to possibly ask their teenager about this show so that you can see what's going on in your teen school. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.